So when we began working together, Kearney had a blueprint for MISC's procurement transformation roadmap, and you oversaw what became a groundbreaking regenerative implementation. What were the challenges that they faced?
I would say the 2 or 3 key challenges that we faced were, one, initially aspiration of senior management around what do they really mean by transformation. When I first went into MISC, was not seen as a value-adding function. Their existing ways of working, a predetermined approach, predetermined outcome. It was very, very governance-centric, with a lack of empowerment, and frankly, a lack of trust. And you put those together, that's quite a challenging mix of parameters to start with.
So procurement was basically a sort of a governance gatekeeper, and sounds like it's a very committee-driven decision-making organization, right? And simply improving, obviously, is just not enough at that time, right? They really needed regenerative procurement, which is really about shifting back to the fundamental principles of procurement by enabling value creation as well as working as a business partner, and definitely align with the entire business objectives, right? How did you approach this much needed and multifaceted, I will say, transformation within MISC then?
I'm not sure they thought it was much needed. I think the challenge was we had to create the need, we had to create the desire to do this. That journey, certainly the initial part of that journey, was really taking governance head on, because that's where everything was centered. And normally, when you're doing a diagnostic in procurement, you go in, you say, here's the opportunity, here's where you should focus. There may be organizational thing questions, there might be process questions. In the early days, none of that was really on the radar. It was on my radar, but it wasn't on their radar. So I discovered the standard way of approaching perhaps a transformation, maybe in an MNC environment, was not going to work in MISC, because either they didn't want it, they didn't even know what the art of the possible was, and it was very much centered on governance and systems. And the perception was that the system would actually answer a lot of or provide lots of the solutions to the transformation program. Now, I know from experience, systems generally are about 5 to 10% of the story, but that was the sort of environment that we had to start off with. So we focused where it mattered to them, which was around the whole governance structure. And how was that perceived by the user? What was the customer experience? Generally very negative. So that's where we started, and layer upon layer upon layer of governance structures, no agility, no flexibility. That's where we had to start. I wasn't expecting that, actually, if I'm being honest. So I had to sort of almost pull back, and the value conversation came later, but it wasn't a conversation we could have in the early days, because it just wasn't on the radar.